What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV, and sorry for the delay. I don't think I've made a video in some days, but I will make up for that tomorrow, tonight and tomorrow. Now, let's talk about what the troll said. Skip Bayless, saying that he thinks that Manu Ginobili was a better player than Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, I honestly believe that he was trolling. I can't believe that he actually thinks that. And I'm certain he doesn't think that. But this is what the downside of trolling is. Okay? You know that he wasn't better than Hakeem Olajuwon. I know that he wasn't better than Hakeem Olajuwon. But the ignorant masses that are out there, they take what these guys say and run with it. They take it as verbatim. That's what the problem is. That's why I do not like trolling, because of the impact it has on people who don't know any better. I also see this as a battle of eras, almost. Like, you have Manu Ginobili, okay, who was the precursor to today's NBA. He was the one that he wasn't the first one, but he's the one that popularized the Euro step, all right? He's a perimeter guy. He's an international player, all right? You look at the NBA today. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but I think, in all honesty, I think part of the reason for the rule changes, not just because the NBA was trying to move away from the half-court, defensive-orientated NBA that we had in the early 2000s to mid-2000s. Not just that, he had the black eye of the Malice in the Palace. Okay, trying to get the physicality out of the game, because they think when we're a bunch of savages. Oops, wrong video. Wasn't just that. I think it was also a calculated move by the NBA and the powers to be to try to bring over more and more international players and make the game more suited for them. Okay. Now, Manu Ginobili was a tremendous player, and he's probably going to, he's likely going to be a Hall of Famer. Okay. Am I right? I think he's, a 4-time NBA champion? All right. One of the greatest San Antonio Spurs of all time, whether he was starting or coming off the bench. Yes, he was tremendous. But to compare him to Hakeem Olajuwon is sheer blasphemy. Hakeem Olajuwon has an argument. I don't think he is, because I think his resume comes up short to guys like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wilt Chamberlain. And, but he has an argument for being the greatest center of all time. I even see the argument, people saying that, if you guys want to say he's not the greatest center of all time due to resume, what have you, then he's the most skilled center of all time. I can go with that. Hakeem Olajuwon is a guy who was the king of the centers in the 1990s. He got the best of all of the great big men of that era. And that's why I said it's a battle of eras. And I think it's kind of, I think Skip Bayless saying that was strategic to cater to the younger fans who like the more perimeter orientated, NBA, as opposed to the old NBA, which was more dominated by centers. But King got the best of all of the big men at the time. Got the best of Shaq in the finals, got the best of Robinson in the playoffs and regular season, got the best of Rick Smith, got the best of Mutombo, got the best of, all of the centers at that particular time. Mourning. Ewing in the finals. Greatly outplayed Patrick Ewing in the finals. But this guy, Hakeem Olajuwon, first overall pick in the NBA draft in '84, ahead of Michael Jordan. He came on a team where the featured star was presumed to be Ralph Sampson. But then Ralph Sampson started having injuries. Ralph Sampson all of a sudden wanted to be a guard. you know, um, and Hakeem Olajuwon really took over that team. All right, he took over that team, and he became the most dominant player in the history of the Houston Rockets franchise. And he led that team to back-to-back NBA titles. And his 1995 playoff run is one of the greatest runs in the history of the NBA. This guy is one of the two greatest low post scorers in the history of the NBA, along with him and Kevin McHale. And it was very little this guy couldn't do. Hakeem Olajuwon, by the age of 30 years old, 30, 31, 32 years old, had pattened down a game that was unprecedented in the history of the NBA. He could score in the post. All right. He had great quickness for a center. He had certain moves that you rarely saw in a center and mimic more of a guard or a forward. He was a great defensive player. I think he won, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards? Can't remember exactly how many he won. Look at what he did in the 1993-94 season. Won the league MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and Finals MVP. One of the few players that actually outplayed Shaquille O'Neal in his prime. The official all-time blocks leader. But you guys know my stance on that with Chamberlain and Russell and Abdul-Jabbar, if they count all his seasons, Thurman. But I'm not taking away from him from Olajuwon in this video. The all-time leader in block shots. Had over 2,000 steals as a center. Over 26,000 career points. And he would have more points than that if in the 90s the Houston Rockets didn't run their offense outside in. If I'm not mistaken, in the early 1990s, from what I recall and read, the coach at the time, I think was Don Chaney, was trying to run the team through the guards instead of running it through Olajuwon, which was the actual correct move, because when they started running the offense through Olajuwon again, all of a sudden they became a top team in the Western Conference. And I mean, when you watch Hakeem Olajuwon when he was on, he was unbelievable. And you got to remember what he did in 1994. Essentially, he carried a team without another all-star. Now, the closest thing he had to an All-Star on that team was Otis Thorpe. But Thorpe had been an All-Star in 92. He wasn't one in 94, although he was still a great player. Then you look what he did in 95. Clyde Drexler was on the team, but Clyde wasn't the same. He was still great, but he wasn't the same Clyde in Portland. And you look at what Hakeem Olajuwon was able to do at that particular time, essentially without another All-Star, and then you compare him to Manu Ginobili. I mean, Ginobili was great, but I don't believe he ever averaged 20 points per game. I think the most he ever averaged is 19.5. There were times when he came off the bench, and I also remember in the 2013 NBA Finals when Manu Ginobili had one of the worst series of his career, turned the ball over everywhere. You know, he was a turnover machine in 2013 NBA Finals. In particular, I think, what was it, Game 7? And he kind of costed the Spurs the NBA championship, despite Tim Duncan's best efforts in the first half of that game. I remember me in 78 did a collab video roasted Ginobili for his awful performance in some of those games in those finals. You think Hakeem Olajuwon played like that? Now, if you're trying to say Manu Ginobili is better than the Toronto Raptors version of Hakeem Olajuwon, okay, I'll go with that. But to say that Manu Ginobili is better than Hakeem Olajuwon is like saying that, you know, it's like saying that Gary Coleman is a better actor than Denzel Washington, or was a better actor than Denzel Washington. I mean, it's laughable to say that. You know, it's ridiculous. You know, but like I said, I think that Skip, in my opinion, is trolling. I don't think he really believes that. And Skip's a Spurs fan, you know what I'm saying? So, um, you take that with a grain of salt, man. You know, 4 years ago, I would have got, well, let's be honest, 2 years ago, I would have got irate, angry, and all that. But to be honest with you, man, the guy's trolling. He's trolling. But tell me what you guys think, man.